There are men hunting you, and they are good at it. You can hear nothing, which means nothing, because the good ones move quietly. You have maybe 20 minutes before the light fails enough to make you stop, and you need to spend the night somewhere within a few hundred yards of people who want you dead. A fire is suicide. A tent is a billboard. A nice dry overhang with a clear view is exactly where a tracker expects to find you, because it is exactly where you want to be. Comfort is a trail. Comfort gets you found. The Apache understood something about being hunted that most survival instructors never mention, because it is not about gear and it is not about toughness. It is about disappearing. Not hiding behind a thing, but becoming part of the landscape so completely that a trained eye sweeps right across you and registers nothing worth a second look. The Chiricahua and the other Apache bands fought campaigns across Arizona and New Mexico and northern Mexico against numerically overwhelming forces for decades. And they did it in large part because small groups could melt into terrain that looked like it could not hide a rabbit. Their scouts could lie up within sight of a search party and not be seen. That is not magic. That is discipline applied to the way human vision actually works. Part 1. To build something invisible, you first have to understand what makes the eye stop. A tracker, or any predator, is not scanning for a shelter. The brain cannot consciously examine everything in a landscape, so it runs a fast, ancient pattern matcher underneath your awareness, and that matcher is hunting for a very short list of things that do not belong in nature. Learn the list, and you can defeat it. The first thing the eye catches is the straight line and the hard regular curve. Nature is fractal and irregular. Branches fork at random angles. Ridgelines wander. Nothing in an undisturbed forest is perfectly straight or perfectly symmetrical for very long. The moment you lay a ridgepole dead level, or lean poles in a neat even cone, or stretch a taut line, you have painted a stroke that the human visual cortex flags instantly, even at the edge of vision, even when the conscious mind is thinking about something else. A straight horizontal in a vertical forest is a flare in the dark, so your shelter cannot have one. Every line in it must wander, fork, sag, and disagree with its neighbors. The second thing the eye catches is the regular outline, the silhouette. We are exquisitely tuned to recognize shapes, especially the dome and the triangle of a classic shelter, and above all, the human form. A clean, rounded hump or a sharp peak sitting against a broken background reads as artificial from a long way off. The Apache answer was to break the outline, to bury the shelter's edges in the existing clutter so it had no clean boundary at all, to let it bleed into the deadfall and brush around it until the eye could not draw a line around where it ended and the forest began. The third thing is shine and contrast. The human eye locks onto specular reflection, a flash off plastic, glass, metal, wet fabric, even skin and eyes, and it locks onto sharp tonal contrast, a black shadow hole or a pale patch against a medium background. A shelter mouth is a dark cave the eye is drawn to. Bright new-cut wood, the pale underside of fresh snapped branches, the green of cut foliage that wilts to a different shade than the living plant around it. All of these glow to a tracker the way a road flare glows to you. Everything must be matte, weathered, and tonally matched to its surroundings. The fourth thing is anything that moves or makes noise or carries a scent that does not belong. Smoke, cooking, a flapping corner, a footpath worn to the entrance, fresh turned earth, the human smell of sweat and food, and fire that a downwind hunter or animal reads as clearly as a sign. The Apache scout managed all of these as deliberately as he managed the visible shape, and there is a fifth principle that ties the others together, and it is the most important. Sighting beats construction. Where you put the shelter matters more than how well you build it. The Apache did not build impressive shelters and then try to hide them. They found a place that was already most of a shelter, a place the eye and the tracker would dismiss, the cluttered base of a deadfall, a brush-choked draw, the shadowed lee of a boulder field, a thicket so unpromising no one would look twice. And they added almost nothing to it. The best concealed shelter is the one you barely had to make, sighted so the terrain does the hiding, and the broken background swallows whatever little you add. You are not building a structure, you are deepening a place that was already invisible. Part 2. Build it the Apache way, which is mostly a way of restraint. Site selection comes first, and it is 90% of the work. Walk into the most cluttered, least inviting cover you can find. A tangle of deadfall, a brush thicket, a jumble of rock with vegetation grown up through it. You want a place a searcher's eye slides off. Avoid the obvious overhangs and clean caves and the comfortable flat dry spots, because those are the first places a tracker checks. Pick ground that lets you watch the likely approach without being skylined, never on a ridgeline, or against an open background where your outline can be cut against the sky. Put solid terrain at your back so you only have to watch one or two directions. And mind the wind. You want it carrying your scent away from where the hunters will come, not toward them. Now construction, and the rule is take from many places and change nothing's character. Build a low frame against the existing clutter, never a freestanding dome or a neat A-frame. Tuck it under the lean of a fallen trunk or into the gap in a deadfall so the natural mess is already most of your roof and walls. Keep it low, low enough to lie in, never to sit up in, because height makes silhouette. Use only dead, dull, weathered material wherever it touches the outside. Never bright fresh-cut wood, and never freshly cut green foliage that will wilt to a betraying off color. If you must use living boughs, take a few from many different plants over a wide area so no single bush looks stripped and no cut pile betrays you. And crush and dirty the cut ends, then dress it to kill the foretells. Break every line. No member of the frame should run straight or parallel to another. Let everything fork and sag and cross at wild angles. Break the outline. Drape and weave debris so the shelter has no clean edge. Pull existing brush over the top. Let it merge into the surrounding clutter until you cannot tell where it stops. Kill the shine and contrast. Rub mud and ash over anything pale. Smear dirt on the bright scars of broken wood. And above all, manage the entrance, the dark mouth, by keeping it small and screening it with a movable plug of brush so there is no black hole drawing the eye. Match the texture and tone of whatever surrounds you. Leaf litter against leaf litter, grey deadwood against grey deadwood. Now the discipline that no construction can replace. Do not wear a path to your shelter. Vary your approach and step on hard ground, deadfall, and rock so you leave no worn trail pointing home. Do not skyline yourself coming and going. No fire, because smoke is visible for miles. Smell carries on the wind, and the glow at night turns your invisible shelter into a lantern. This shelter is built for cold camp concealment, not warmth. Keep your own movement near it slow and minimal, because the eye that misses a static shape snaps instantly to motion. And keep light discipline absolute after dark. No phone screen, no light. Nothing, because a single point of light in a black forest is the easiest thing in the world to see. The fatal mistakes follow from all this. The biggest is choosing comfort over concealment, picking the nice, dry, obvious spot and getting found. The second is fresh cut material, the pale wood and wilting green that screams new construction. The third is the straight line and the clean silhouette, the neat shelter that looks built. The fourth is the worn approach path, the most common giveaway of all, because you can hide the shelter perfectly and still draw a line of bent grass and scuffed dirt straight to your door. And remember that a concealment shelter trades warmth for invisibility. So manage cold by insulation and clothing, not by fire, or you will trade being hunted for being frozen. And you must be honest with yourself about which threat is actually going to kill you tonight. There is a hard lesson buried in all of this. And it goes deeper than shelter. The instinct that gets people caught, and the instinct that gets people killed in 100 other ways, is the craving for comfort and the clean, obvious answer. The good, dry cave, the straight, strong beam, the warm fire, the path of least resistance. The Apache scout survived by mistrusting exactly that instinct, by choosing the uncomfortable thicket over the inviting overhang, by adding less instead of more, by becoming nothing rather than building something. Disappearing is an act of discipline against your own desire to be seen, to be comfortable, to be done. So when you are the hunted one, remember that the landscape was hiding things long before you got there, and your job is not to outbuild the tracker, but to out-discipline yourself. Take the bad ground. Break every line. Leave no trail. Become a part of the place so ordinary that the eye refuses to stop. The men who walk right past you will never know how close they came. And that, not the fire and not the gear, is what brings you to morning. This has been Apocalypse Solutions. Stay low, stay quiet, stay unseen.